And the first law of motion, so we already discussed that a force is essential in order to move an object. So what are its implications? We can see that. Suppose if you are moving an particular empty box, you might imagine it is an empty box. You need to apply a less force. Suppose at the same time, if something with much more mass, in order to move this object, you need to apply a greater force. So actually, the force that is required, it's actually related to the mass of the object. So one more term is that so every objective will resist a change in its state of rest or motion. Suppose if you keep this particular object at one particular place, so it will remain there at any long time. It will not unless it is disturbed by an external unbalanced force. So that particular property of object that is known as inertia. Today we will discuss about three types of inertia. Inertia, first one, inertia of rest. Then second one, inertia of motion. Then inertia of direction. So actually inertia is actually a measure of mass. If more is the mass of the object, more will be inertia. More is the mass, more will be the inertia. If mass of the object is more, inertia will be more. If less is the mass, lesser will be the inertia. So now look at one by one this what is inertia of rest. Suppose if I keep this particular object over here and see now the marker is just over the so what will happen? Immediately if I move this particular object back, uh, the marker will fall vertically downward. Is it? So what is happening here? So here I am applying a force onto this duster. As a result, I am moving it or pulling it back. So at the same time, what happens to this marker? The marker is just in contact with this particular duster, but it has a tendency to remain in the state of rest. As a result, it will directly. Hello, dear students. In this video, we are going to look at what is the first law of motion and why it is known as the law of inertia. So, the first law of motion we already discussed that a force that is essential in order to change the state of rest or uniform motion of an object. So, it also says that unless compelled by an external force, the object will remain in the state of rest or it will continue to move with the same force uh, unless this particular force is acting on this object. So if you keep this particular object, say for example, at one particular place, it will remain there for long time unless someone comes and takes over it. So again, inertia is a tendency. It is a natural tendency of an object to remain in the state of rest or state of uniform motion unless compelled to change the state by an external unbalanced force. So there are three types of inertia. One is called inertia of rest, and the second one is called inertia of motion, and the third one inertia of direction. Suppose you take an example. Suppose you may have traveled in vehicles, especially in bus, school bus. Suppose while you are sitting, just to imagine, the first we are going to discuss about inertia of rest. We are sitting in the bus, and the bus is about to start. The bus is starting and moving with a very high speed. So what will happen to you? You will fall backward. Is it? And similarly, this is why it is happening. This is because of inertia of rest. Our body wants to remain in the state of rest. Clear? But the bus, as a result of the unbalanced force applied by the engine, it moves forward. But our body resists and it wants to remain in the state of rest. As a result, we fall backward. The next example for inertia of motion. So, what is inertia of motion? It is a tendency of an object to continue in the state of motion. So, suppose if again you imagine the same situation, you are inside a moving bus. Suppose if driver applies a sudden brake, what will happen? You will fall forward. Is it? So you might have experienced that. Suppose while riding bike, if you apply a sudden brake, what will happen? You will fall front at the same time. And similarly, why the seat belts are provided in cars and vehicles. So if by chance if any accident happens, driver applies a sudden brake and the bus or car which was moving with very high speed comes to rest within a short period of time. So this will, as a result of inertia of motion, our body want to tend to move forward direction, and we will collide with the steering wheel. And in order to avoid such injuries, what airbag and seat belts are provided in the bus. So the whole inertia of motion. And the next thing is inertia of direction. What do you mean by inertia of direction? Uh, Now we can guess what it is. Suppose, for example, if you are traveling in a bus, suppose if the bus takes a sudden sharp turn, either left or right, what will happen? Uh, Bus is moving in a straight lane and the driver takes a sharp turn, very high speed. So the bus, as a result of this particular mechanical force exerted by the engine, moves very fast, but our body, which was moving in a straight line, wants to remain in the same straight line motion. So as a result, we will get thrown in the outward direction. So this is about inertia of direction. Many examples are given in your book. Just read the book very carefully. It is very important, and many of the questions that will be coming from within the text. This time, you know that the exam will be conducted in our school art, and you need to read the and understand the concepts very thoroughly. Then only you will be able to answer the questions. So, just be careful about if you got any particular doubt regarding this topic, you can ask me. Okay. And now we are moving on to the next topic, that is second law of motion. In the next part, we are going to deal with the second law of motion. The second law of motion says that the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force. So, first let us look at the quantity. What is momentum? Momentum is a quantity. It's a physical quantity. It's denoted by the letter P, and that is a product of mass and velocity of the object. Suppose we know that if you take this particular object, if it is simply kept there, its velocity is 0. So that what will be its momentum? Mass into velocity. If say the mass of this particular object say 100 gram or 100 gram, and if velocity is 0, what will be the momentum? The momentum will also be 0. So if this particular object is moving with a certain velocity, say 100 gram is moving with a velocity of say 1 meter per second, the speed of 1 meter per second. So what will be the momentum? The momentum will be 100 gram meter per second. So when you convert this gram into kilogram, it will become 0.1 kilogram per meter per second. So this is the SI unit of momentum. Okay. So if this related to the velocity with which an object moves. If more is the velocity, more will be the momentum. Suppose if a cycle comes with a speed of 10 meter per second and hits you, it will not create much problem, minor injuries. But if a truck comes with the same speed and hits you, what will happen? You will be pasted on the wall, is it? So that's about the quantity momentum. Momentum of an object is related to or directly proportional to mass of the object as well as velocity of the object. In the cycle's case, mass was less, velocity was also less. So in the truck's case, mass was very high and velocity was less. So the quantity momentum, that is the quantity momentum. So I hope you understood. Now we are moving to the second law of definition. What is second law of definition? It says that the rate of change of momentum. The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force. So what is rate of change of momentum? Final momentum minus initial momentum. P2. The final momentum. P1 is the initial momentum. So for proving this, we can look at this particular example. That is, suppose if an object I placed over here on the table, say mass 1 kg, mass of this object is 1 kilogram. So I am applying an unbalanced force. I am applying a force onto this particular object. Say it is this. And I am applying a force. So initially the velocity of the object is 0. So it is kept stationary at this particular point. So I am applying a force for 1 second. So the time duration is 1 second. And as a result, this object will start moving with a speed of 10 meter per second. So the final velocity is now what? 10 meter per second. So now let us calculate what is the rate of change of momentum. That is P2 by P1 upon T. So what is P2? How will you calculate P2? P2 is the final momentum. Final momentum means what? 1 into 10. What is final momentum means what? Mass of the object into final velocity. Mass into velocity is the momentum. Then initial momentum, mass of the object is 1 into what is velocity of the initial velocity of the object is 0. So we can write 0 divided by 1. It took 1 second. So what will come here? Here 1 into 10 you will get 10, 1 into 0 you will get 0. So what will be 10 by 1? That is equal to 10 kilogram meter per second square. So why this meter per second square came? So that we will discuss. So here velocity, what is the SI into velocity? Meter per second, and as a result it comes seconds. SI into time is second. That is also comes in the denominator, meter per second divided by second. Then SI into mass is kilogram. Okay. Now we can look at this particular derivation of this particular equation. So as a result, force we can write like this: force acting onto an object is the rate of change of momentum. What is final momentum? We can write like this: mv minus, then initial momentum we can write mu, because u is the initial velocity. This will be equal to mass into this. Mass is common, so we can take it constant outside. So we are writing v minus u upon t. So what is v minus u upon t? Change of velocity, rate of change of velocity or time. That is what? Acceleration. So force is the product of mass and acceleration. Force is the product of mass and acceleration. So at last we comes to this particular equation. This equation is very important. So let us now look at this particular situation. What is mass of the object? 1 kilogram. Then final velocity 10 meter per second. Initial velocity was 0. So that's why we are not writing it here. So time taken, the time duration at which the force was applied, it was 1 second. So what will happen? As a result, the force applied on this object was 10 kilogram meter per second square, and this is also known as 10 Newton. The SI unit of force is Newton. Okay. The next we are going to discuss about the third law of motion, which is also known as action and reaction. This is dealing with action force and reaction force. So what is action and reaction? Just now look at what is action and reaction. Suppose take an example, say two objects. Say one is moving with a velocity say 10 meter per second, and say the next object say m2, say this m1. The m2 is moving with say velocity of 5 meter per second. So what will happen if these two objects are moving in a straight line? So what will happen? The first object. This object is moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second. M1. First object, say of mass 1 kg. Say of mass 2 kg. Can take M1 as 1 kg and M2 as 2 kg. Then M1 is moving with an initial velocity of 10 meter per second and M2 that is moving with a velocity of 5 meter per second. So these are moving in the same straight line. So what will happen after some time? M1 will collide with M2. So during this collision, what happens? You might have played carom board. So when striker comes and hits the next coin, what will happen? The coin will start moving with very high velocity. And as a result, the speed of the striker will slow down. So what is happening here? Striker is exerting a force. So M1 will exert a force on M2. So which is known as action force. It is known as action. At the same time, what happens? As a result of this collision, M2 will exert equal and opposite force back onto M1. So that force is known as the reaction force. So I think you understood. So the force which is applied by M1 onto M2 in that direction, that is called action. So at the same time, during this collision, what happens? M2 at the same time, if we collide two objects, what will happen? These two are coming under a force. The force always acts in pairs. So as a result, M2 will also exert the same force back, but the direction of that reaction force will be opposite to the direction of action force. Clear? So now let us look at what can happen after this collision. So the third law says that for every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. This is the definition of third law of motion. For every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. So you might have seen rocket moving upward or a balloon filled with air. If you are not tying the mouth of the balloon and if you are leaving, what will happen? The balloon will move upward and the gas which is filled inside the balloon, that will come outward. That will move out. For example, say the case of rocket. So how the rocket is flying? Rocket will fly in the upward direction. So the gas and all the hot gases which are emitted, that will move in the downward direction. So similarly, recoiling of gun. So if you fire a bullet will move forward by exerting a force back onto the rifle. So what will happen? The rifle will move backward. So these are some of the examples of this action and reaction force. So you might have played with balloons. So balloon, when you fill with air and if you without tying the mouth of the balloon, if you leave, what will happen? Balloon will fly in one direction. The gas which is filled in the inside the balloon, it will flow in the opposite direction. So this force always act in pairs. So there we can see action and reaction force in all the situations. So which is equal. Magnitude of these two forces will be equal, but the direction will be opposite. So in this condition, the third law is also explaining the law of conservation of momentum. So during this particular collision, the momentum change during this collision will remain the same. So it can be explained by an equation. That means total momentum, we can simply total momentum before the collision. Total momentum before the collision will be equal to total momentum after the collision. Total momentum after the collision. So this we can prove mathematically. So we will get what is the total momentum before the collision? Total momentum before the collision is m1 u1. m1 u1 is the momentum of the first object plus m2 u2. This you take as u1, and this one velocity of the second object you take as u2. So m1 u1 plus m2 u2 will be equal to what? After the collision, what will happen? These two objects will move with different velocities. So the velocity of the first object, that is m1, velocity of the m1 will somewhat get decreased. The velocity of m1 will get decreased to v1, and the velocity of m2, that will increase. So it will increase to v2. So this will happen as a result of the collision. Suppose you might have played this push. Suppose see somebody is moving, one of your friend moving in front of you very slowly, and you are coming behind of him and just pushing him fast. What will happen to him? The M2, the first one, the person whom you are pushing, he will move with a very high velocity, and your speed will get decreased. So this is what happens there. So total momentum after the collision, you can say that is m1 into v1. That is the momentum after the collision of the first body. Its speed will get decreased, plus momentum of the second body, that is m2 v2. So this is the law of conservation of momentum. That is, total momentum before the collision will be equal to total momentum after the collision, which is again equal to what? The force that is acting. The time factor comes in both the cases remains the same. So the time duration of collision, say it is remains 1 second. So what will happen immediately? This will become, there will be an exchange of force that is happening between these two situations, before the collision and after the collision. So what it says that both the forces, if you take it as rate of change of momentum, that is happening before the collision and after the collision as a result of this force as a collision. So these two forces will be equal, but the direction will be opposite. So this is what explained by the third law of motion, which says that total momentum of a system of objects remains conserved during a collision, remains conserved. So this is known as law of conservation of momentum. Momentum cannot be, the total momentum remains conserved or remains constant. So it cannot be changed. So it is also said by the third law of motion, the force acting between a pair of objects. Force remains same, but the direction only changes. So I hope you understood this particular part. There are a lot of numericals related to this particular topic. So it's very simple. So if you find it difficult, just contact me. So I'll clear your doubts. This is the simplest explanation which I given. So I hope you understood this particular part. So watch it 2 or 3 times carefully and try to solve the examples, questions which are given in the textbook, the notes which I have already given to you. Revise this chapter very nicely and write the exam well. Read the textbook very carefully, each and every line. Any particular part if you couldn't understand, you can WhatsApp me. So I will explain it well. Okay, I hope you understood. Stay well and stay safe.